This programme is funded by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland with the television licence fee.
So it's John Fallon here from the Men's Shed, as people may relate to me.
Welcome to Acting Locally from Claremorris Community Radio, the show that connects you to the people and the stories behind the organisations working to make life in Claremorris even better for everyone.
I've been involved with the Men's Shed since it came into operation here in 2009, 2010 period. I was a construction worker. I had my own company in Westport, and in 2008 I became very ill with heart surgery required to repair the problem I had in my heart. Which resulted in me having to take early retirement from the construction work, and which subsequently left me with a bit of a mountain to climb to kind of get myself back into some sort of normality again. I found myself at the time wanting to be involved in something that was going to keep my head, I suppose, give me the headspace and give me a bit of normality in my life. So I joined a few voluntary groups, as at the time I was unable to obtain any employment due to ill health. So this was in 2008. Now I was lucky enough to become involved with a lot of great people and met a lot of great people, none other than the Family Resource Centre, which was situated in James Street in Claremorris at the time. I started doing computer courses in there, and it was coming very close to the time when people started losing their jobs, and there was a lot of unemployment, and it was getting worse, and the future didn't look great. The Celtic Tiger had gone. There was a crash. The government were in disarray. They were trying to borrow money from here, there and everywhere, which resulted in an awful lot of people losing a lot of jobs, which resulted locally in a lot of guys being available to come into the centre just maybe to get out of the house for a while until they go to the next step in their lives, where they'll be still in the middle of their working lives and suddenly they've lost their jobs. I found that during my time there, the classes that Ross O'Connor was in it at the time, Ross O'Connor Kenny and Nuala Gilligan, who's still there, and Rona Murphy. So thankful to them all for all they've done, and Lisa Jordan. And then I noticed that every time I went in, there always seemed to be more men joining up to do this course or that course, all because they had time on their hands and they wanted to look at maybe different things they wanted to do down the line. Like, we weren't a group as such, but we were just all brought in to do courses, and we got to know each other that way. And eventually it was thrown out there, why don't we do a project, some sort of a group project that maybe something like that. So one of the things was thrown out was photography and to take pictures of wildlife. So one person knew someone that had a camera, someone else knew someone that knew someone that knew someone that had a company in Dublin that did printing. And this is how it all came about. We decided that we would put together a calendar for the new year, and it was going to be all pictures of Claremorris, and we were just going to sell them off and make a little bit of money for ourselves. It came out really, really well, and that was kind of the project that gelled us all, because we used to go out into there was, of course, Clare Lake, I suppose, was a big one. to go off our walk and take loads of photos, each of us, and we'd bring them back, select what photos we wanted to put in, and there was great fun in that as well, a bit of competition as well for who was the best photographer. So that's how it started off in the beginning, and from there we decided that we needed to set up a group. So we set up a group, and it was called the men's group, Claremorris Men's Group, and then we used to have a meeting in the Family Resource Centre in James's Street once a week, and there'd be always updates and what we were going to do next. So our next thing that we did then, the following spring, it was called Heat on the Street. It was a fitness thing for men only, and we got all the local organisations in. We had Elvery's came along, they set up a place. We had the Mayo Sports Partnership come up. There was a lot of other organisations come on, anything to do with health. There was Niall Heffernan came up with healthy eating from the food store. The square was full with all the different organisations, and we brought in a few of the Mayo footballers, so it was a fantastic day. There was really a gel there, so the next stage that came on was we needed a shed. At the time, there was a lot of talk about men's sheds in Australia, and we used to do a lot of research into that and looking to see what it was. Then we discovered that there was men's sheds in Ireland, mostly over in the southeast, and John Evoy had a lot of sheds, and there was a few in Cork, there was a few down in Tipperary, a few in Dublin, you know. In our mind, in our view, a men's shed was somewhere for men to come and meet, to share skills, maybe even learn new skills. It didn't matter what type it was book reading, singing, in choirs. The list is endless. Go for walks, sit and have a chat, have an argument, whatever it was. A place to have a bit of banter, a place to hang out for a few hours, make new friends, to come and meet on a regular basis, take part in events. The big emphasis on the shed was the kettle. The kettle would be boiling, and there'd be always a cup of tea. So there was no shed was ever made that didn't have a kettle, and that was to have the cup of tea. It's the men's shed here in Claremorris, and John Fallon here just giving you an insight into what it's all about. What was facing us then was that the Family Resource Centre, while it's an excellent facility and everything, the one on James Street was very, very small. And while there were always fantastic people in the Family Resource Centre, they always accommodated us. But it came to the point where we felt we could do with the premises, somewhere we could come and meet, have our own tools, do a few projects. We knew it wasn't going to happen overnight. And having read so much about men's sheds, and we did consider the fact that maybe we should set up a men's shed, and we thought about it a lot, and we had the meeting, and we decided that we'd maybe look for a premises. Now, this didn't happen overnight. I mean, we were talking about this for a while, and we searched and searched. But one day we had a meeting, I'll never forget it. We were up in Family Resource Centre, and there was a few of us there, and Ross was there, and Nuala and all that. So we said, we're all going on hearsay about who has a shed and who might have a shed, and we're not bringing it any further. So what we really need to do is get out there and actually physically walk around the town. And if we have to knock on doors, we will. So we left, we were going to give ourselves 2 hours. About 6 of us left the Family Resource Centre at about 11:30. And the deadline was 2 o'clock. We were to be back with a lot of information between the lot of us. So myself and someone else, we walked up, we took off towards the square, and someone else went off another way, someone else went off another way. And myself and, I don't know who was with me, but we met Donald Moran. Donald, Doc won't mind, he's the owner of the Bog Oak Centre. He won't mind me saying we went down the Chapel Lane, it's called. We were down there, and I says, Donald, I'll tell you, I said, we're looking for a shed. We're looking for a shed. You know, all those buildings along here, are they in use? Well, they're not, he says, but if you talk to the owner of that shed there, he's not doing anything with it. And but he says, certainly, he says, give him a ring. You just don't know. He may be interested in letting it out to someone because it's in need of repair. So I asked him, had he the phone number? He had, and I rang the man straight away. And I told him what we were planning. I says, we're a group of men. We've come together for different reasons, and we'd like to set up a place to call our own, probably called the Men's Shed or whatever. And he says, yeah. He said, look, I'll open up and I'll let you have a look, and if you think you can do something with it, you're welcome to it. So everyone met at 2 o'clock, and we all shared our stories. So we were all thrilled with this news, and we all went up straight away, and he opened up, and I think he gave us a key. We walked in, and I mean, we must have been 2 or 3 hours in there, just in dreamland, what we could do with this. It needed a roof. The walls was cow shit, excuse my language, there was cow shit on the walls from years and years ago. It was flaking, the floor was in very good nick. And then there was another little building the other side, and we went over there, and it needed work done as well, but not as much. So I made a phone call to the man, and I told him we were very interested. We'd like to maybe have a look at it again, and that we were going to meet and make a decision, and we'd let him know. So we met again the following week, and we all went out again and had a look. We came back, had a meeting in the Family Resource Centre, and we decided that we wanted to give it a go. And it wasn't just going to be one person or 2 people dragging the lot. We were going to do it all as a group together. And from there on, we got grants from the HSE, and we did a full renovation job in the 2 of them, and rewired them, and also during the course of the reconstruction work, we were doing projects for people, maybe birdhouses, and making a little bit of money that way, doing a little bit of kindling, getting a bit of income as well. So all that helped. We never had an official opening in the shed. It was a gradual increase in projects, and one thing led to another. There was one day, the Family Resource Centre and Ross and everyone, we all came up when we were at a point where we could take on projects, where we just had a bit of a bit of a get together. We had food up and all that amongst ourselves, and it was a great feeling. We were very, very proud people, the way we could show off everything we had done and what we could do, and we were very happy. You know, we had two little sheds, and one shed was toilet facilities, kitchen, meeting room. The other shed was where we did all our work. We even fixed it. We had a tractor in there for a while, fixing the cab of it, and we had great fun with that. And things used to get very serious now. You know, it could be like that's 2 inches off, and another fella said, "Well, no, it's not." And I suppose that brings us up like to maybe between 14, 15, and we were kind of on the one wavelength then. Different people come and go. We've lost a few people that passed away over the years. That's been a sad time. You know, you'd never forget those people. They gave so much to the shed. There was a few people that were big into maybe playing darts. Then we were donated a beautiful snooker table from Westport Men's Shed, who had to vacate their premises and they had nowhere to go, you know. So they donated the snooker table. That took up some amount of men's time coming in there playing snooker and competitions and all that, and often there'd be projects that would be left for the day just to go and play snooker, like. And that was the beauty of the shed, you know. There was no pressure, you know. You'd have people coming in looking to see is their project finished, like, and they'd say, "Well, sure, it'll be done tomorrow," like, you know, that sort of way. But they were always, you know, we'd set up different kind of committees. There'd be a committee for projects, and there'd be a committee for overseeing the work in the sheds, and overseeing my role was chairperson, and then there was 2 or 3 on that committee, and then there was another committee who took over projects because there'd be too much for the one person. And you know, it worked very well. You know, there was lots of disagreements, and you know, we always had meetings. With meetings once a month, and everything was discussed.
You're listening to Acting Locally on Claremorris Community Radio. If your local group or organisation would like to be featured on the programme, get in touch with the station.
John Fallon here, joining you just to give you an insight into what's happening down the men's shed. Yeah, well, I suppose when you look back at when the type of characters and people that come into them, a lot of them was word of mouth. A lot of them were guys who just want to be involved in something. A lot of guys joined the shed, I suppose, after it opened and they heard about the shed. It was a big part of a lot of people's lives. We had one particular guy who became ill, and he's only a young guy, and he was no longer able. He had to give up his job, and he had nowhere to go. A very intelligent guy. He joined the shed. He had no skills, we'll say, with his hands to do making stuff. And we had another guy then who would be he'd be at the older group, who was very, very talented. But the younger guy that came in, he learned so much from him. He actually is one of the main fellas for years in the shed that he was the go-to guy then for a guy that came in that didn't know anything. So the shed has been a huge benefit to him. He's been in numerous committees, and he's always been a great member of the shed. We had the other story where a guy, he'd be a bit outside Claremorris, but he would be he would have worked all his life in an organisation, and he reached retirement age and felt that what a lot of men do, feel that they were always the breadwinner in the home, no longer are, and don't have that, I suppose, what would you call it? They don't have that kind of title anymore. That in their own minds that they're not really the breadwinner. So that happens a lot. I mean, we come across a lot of that, but that they feel that they don't have the same purpose in the family unit, which is ridiculous, but it can happen. There was one particular guy, he just sunk into a bit of depression, and he used to go to his doctor, and so the doctor then said to him once, he says, "Do you know what you'll do?" He says, would you consider joining a men's shed? And what was pleasing from our point of view was this was it was outside Claremorris, it was in another town. He says, "There's a great men's shed in Claremorris," and when we heard that, it was great. He says, "I think that's what you need to do, join a men's shed and get yourself moving again. You know, you're a young man yet," and all that. So he said, "I can get a number for you." So he did. The doctor got the number for the man, and the man rang my number, and he said he was very shy and he didn't know anyone in Claremorris, but he said he'd love to come up and maybe see what it's all about. So I says, "Well, the best thing to do," I says, "we've a quiet day on Tuesday, so I says, if you can come up Tuesday at, say, 11 o'clock, I'll be here and I'll meet you." And I says, "We'll walk through the whole lot." I said, "There'll be a few people here." So he came in, and very kind of in himself when he came, and we had our shed set up in a way where when you come to the door of the shed, it's not just the outer door is open, but then you walk in a little kind of a porch inside. It's all glass, so you can see what's inside. You're not walking into a black, total blank. You can see before you go in. And that's the idea, that anyone that ever comes will see what's ahead of them. So he came in, he opened the door, and I says, "How are you?" And I welcomed him, and I made him a cup of tea, and we did chat and a bit of crack. And he was within, you could see he was warm into the place. So then I took him outside, and we went over to the other shed, and we had a look around, and I knew he was just coming out himself, and there was a few of the lads around, and we all met, and he soon got involved with a bit of banter, and he came over then, and one of the lads says, "Tea time," and "Come on, we're going over for a cup of tea over to the other shed." So we sat down, and he stayed with us for ages, so he joined. But the transformation in that man over the course of maybe a month, I mean, he used to come quite often. He was heading projects, he was taking charge of projects, and people wouldn't do anything without getting his opinion, that sort of stuff. So and that's just one story. There's a lot of stories like that. We had other people coming in who were from different parts of the country, would move to Claremorris, and they'd come in, and we'd always give them something that they were happy to do, and that's what the shed is all about. I suppose at the end of the day, the pandemic came, and at the same time, the guy who was so good to us to give us the shed initially, he had been on to us since about 2018, 2019, that he would be looking for the premises back, that he was short of space, but he was giving us plenty of time. So we went on the outlook for a new shed. It was taking us forever. We couldn't find anywhere. Eventually, it came to the point where we had to leave. So, in 2020, in December 2020, we finally closed the shed for the last time, and it was pretty a dark day. But we had built up such I suppose, a name for ourselves. We'd built up so many tools, so many memories, photos. We have loads. We have containers full of stuff that we built up over the years. From the first day that we left on that dinner time in the Family Resource Centre looking for a shed, the amount of stuff between memories, equipment, projects that we'd done were all in 2 massive containers, So we set about looking for a new shed, and thankfully we got one there last spring. We came on a shed, and because the pandemic was still rampant, we were only touching base with it now and again, but we're set up now in it. We still have a long way to go. Huge potential, situated across from the leisure centre in Claremorris here, down a little laneway there. We have a long way to go with it, but we have 18 members now signed, paid up, and great bit of banter going on. There's still lots of renovation to be done. Those guys down there, they're plastering. There's another fella fitting windows, and all full of, importance. It was important to them, Just as many members as possible are welcome. Anyone that wants to get involved, you're more than welcome. It's quite simple. Just phone me 089 9515 239. Claremorris Men's Shed. John is my name, John Fallon, and I'm the chairperson, the current chairperson. You come in. We're situated in the alleyway directly across from the entrance into the Claremorris Leisure Centre. Walk down there right to the end, you'll see a big white building in front of you. Keep going and come to that, and then you'll see over on the left. Anyone that's interested, that's all they have to do. Walk in, ask for Danny or John or someone, tell them you want to have a look around. Most people, what they do is they ring my phone number and we make an appointment to come in, because it can be daunting just walking into a place where you don't know anyone. We've had 2 members who have joined in the last few weeks, and I just met them outside the library, walked in with them and made a cup of tea, and I have to have the cup of tea anyway, and sit down and have a chat, and they joined immediately. And the fee is a one-off fee of €25 for the year, and that includes any projects that the Family Resource Centre have on offer. Might be doing computer courses. We're doing a basket weaving course in the next few weeks, and that's all free to the men's shed. That €25 secures that. We open Monday to Thursday, 10:30 to 1:30, and it's entirely up to yourself what you want to do. If you want to get something out of the shed, you come in, and there's lots of different things there. I mean, we have people that, just come in they only come to the meetings once a month. You mightn't see them again. There's a fella there, he comes and he might take away the sawdust from the timber work and for his hens, and that's good. We're good for the hens too. And but all members are welcome, and we'd be delighted to have. If it's, we just say the spin-off from anyone involved in the men's shed is that if you think of a guy that's at home, he'd love to be out doing something, and it's good for him and it's good for the people in the house. If you just get out for a few hours, interact with other people, you feel better. I'm going from my own experience. You feel better within yourself when you come back, and that's what it's all about, Many thanks to, again, Noel and all the staff and Family Resource Centre. The support they give us is unbelievable. You could never thank them enough, John Fallon here from Claremorris Men's Shed.
You've been listening to Acting Locally from Claremorris Community Radio. For more information on the groups and organisations featured in the show, get in touch with the station. This programme was funded by the Broadcasting Authority of Ireland with the television licence fee.